Hey everybody, I hope you're all keeping safe and well out there. You're here today with myself, James, and my co-host Jason, and we want to welcome you to the very first episode of The Lion's Den. How you getting on, mate?
Man, I'm doing good, man. Surviving, pandemic style, bro.
What you did to survive?
Bro, I'm trying to do as many body weight exercises as I can. Trying to stay in shape, trying to eat good, trying to get good habits for my mental health, man. How about you?
Oh, well, you're on the exercise train, are you?
Like everybody needs to be, man. It's good. It's good for the mental health, man. It's necessary.
I got to admit, it makes a big difference. Like psychologically, for me, it's been a case of like the days that I don't do it are the days that always are like more difficult, or like more frustrating, or you don't just lethargy breeds lethargy. So, like I even ended up buying a spinning bike, like a proper exercise bike.
Damn, bro.
Yeah, no, honestly, it's actually a bit of a game changer because if you get stuck in, I was doing like skipping, like fast rope and then some heavier ropes, like boxing style skipping.
Bro, skipping is a real workout, man. Especially for your cardio, it's good.
Unbelievable. And then you put like a heavier weight on there.
Yeah.
30 minutes of that, yeah, agony, absolute agony. I mean, the neighbours were in more agony than I was. Listening to me like beating away. It's just like, oh man, I don't know how long I would have put up with that, but still. So the bike's the new thing to keep myself sane and on point.
Sure.
So here we go. The first one, we finally did it. Finally got going.
Finally, bro. Let's get this started, bro. Let's get this legend started.
The legend started. Well. Which one we're looking at? We're looking at a few things today. Social Dilemma. That was one. Did you catch that documentary?
Yeah, Netflix documentary about social media. It was lit, man. It was good. It was insightful.
Yeah. What do you think?
So, I think it paints an accurate picture of like today's society, man. And what I mean by that is like, I feel like everybody's kind of like self-absorbed in this like false game of like, I gotta please other people, and it becomes like kind of toxic in a way because it becomes like very unnatural in my opinion. That's the way that I see it. Like you got especially like with the younger kids. I think we had a conversation, you and me, about that. Like younger generation, like they're born into this social media era, so it's kind of like their whole life is based on like this false comparison, and like self-esteem is like kind of very low because their circle, like the circle they're supposed to have in reality, is extended to digital, and your brain does not realize that it's connected to digital because your brain sees everything at face value, right? Your brain is like, okay, like I see these people doing this, I see these people in these countries, I see this and that. So to your brain, it's like, okay, this is my environment. So how come I'm not at that place? How come I'm not living that life? And so you start doing like unhealthy comparisons that are like in the long run, it's not good for you, it's not good for your mental health, it's not good for your self-esteem. And I think that's a problem to me.
Yeah, I agree. I kind of looked at it from the basis that it was, you're born into a society, so you're born into your locality, your tribe, as it were. So wherever that is, and so your ability to measure yourself against other people and their achievements is relative to your tribe and your local area. So if you're born into a very wealthy area, it's your expectations are going to be at that level, and if you're at a lower level, then your expectations are going to be relative. So I think the point for me was that everyone's the most followed people are the people with the Lamborghinis and the Ferraris, or the most followers, therefore making a lot of money, and you, exactly as you say, you get this unhealthy comparison. So when it comes to like your locality is now global. So if you're comparing yourself to someone that's making $1 million a month, or 40 million a year, or whatever, they're a movie star, your life is always going to look like you're on the back foot, and it's always going to look bland. And the other problem is that whatever the face someone puts on Instagram, it's a face that's in that split second, and so it's not, no one's ever going to put a collage of pictures or videos of themselves who are suffering or feeling down.
Exactly.
And fair play and power to the people that put themselves out there and say, I need help or I need something. But I'd imagine you'd speak to people if you needed help, etc. But when it comes to a comparison of, I don't know, so he's hit the rock. You look at the cars he's driving, the house he lives in, the things he's doing on a day-to-day, businesses he's building. They're not relative to your locality and your tribe.
Exactly, tribe. I think that's a key word there, bro. Because like tribe. I think that's a key word because I think that's how our brain works. Like our brains are not like adapted to this world we live in right now. They're still based on like these tribes that we used to belong to, like back in the day, like back in like those eras, you know. And like we're supposed to like live in a tribe, live with like a close circle of people that we have a defined role, we have a defined value, and we just navigate this tribe and actually like connect with the people in that tribe. Now you're in front of your screen, you see these people every single day. Some of them you never talk to, like you said, like some of the celebrities. You compare yourself to them, but you never talk to them. They never talk to you. They don't know who you are, but you know who they are. And you're comparing yourself to that standard, which is unattainable because nobody that you know and nobody in your family is there. Now, okay, it's true that you can use it for motivation, but you have to be very disciplined, like in the people that you follow. Like let's take Instagram for example. You have to have discipline in the people that you follow, because if you don't, you're gonna start like getting into that negative like downward spiral where it's just like, okay, how can I look better than that person? How can I have more money than that person? How can I look like I make more money? And then we get into that argument about like that like people who rent that fake booth that looks like a like private jet so they can take like pictures to look like they have it.
Yeah, you know? yeah. I mean, well, I think that's a very good point as well, because that shows the face that someone actually puts out onto Instagram. So for the people listening, what we're talking about is there's different locations, I imagine all around the world, but there's especially in Spain, there's a couple of places that you can go that have like a studio setup of a private jet. So you turn up there, and obviously it's not a real private jet. These people aren't going anywhere. It's just the body and the shell and the seats, and it looks identical. And they have a camera crew, and you can turn up with your, you can use their fake Louis Vuitton bags. You can use any props that they have available, and you sit there with your sunglasses on, and then they'll edit the windows so it looks like you're actually sitting in a private jet, looking out the window with 37,000 feet. And I mean, I would be hard pressed to tell the difference between someone sitting in a real jet and a fake studio setup. But the point is that people are buying into this. But what I was saying earlier, like with the whole tribe thing, I mean, there's nothing wrong with comparing yourself, because you mentioned about motivation. I don't think there's anything wrong with comparing yourself to people who are excelling to an incredible standard.
Yeah.
The only way that you want to be the president of the United States or the prime minister of the UK or whatever it is you're aspiring to be is to know that job is available and to follow the path that person's done.
Exactly.
So I think it's a good thing to have that. I just think it's important to have realistic expectations about where you are immediately. Everyone says you started a business, you do a 1-year plan, a 3-year plan, a 5-year plan, 10-year plan, whatever, but you have stage by stage milestones, and they're important. 1, to keep you grounded, that you're achieving in the right places, and 2, to give yourself things to achieve, because otherwise, let's say you do become the president of the United States and it takes you 20 years, you're going to fail for 20 years if you haven't got milestones set in between. So I think that social media can be very positive in the sense of motivation, achievement. I mean, we can reach and speak to more people than we ever had before, but you need to have a mindset with it as well.
Exactly.
And that's what I think majority of users are suffering with, especially young users, that they're buying into the fact that driving a Lamborghini at 18 years old is normal. Being a supermodel is super achievable. Being a Premiership football player or an NFL football player is very achievable. It is achievable, but incredible amount of hard work goes into it, and all you're seeing is a photo that lasts for a split second. You're not seeing the injuries, the ice baths. You're not seeing whatever it takes. I don't think there's many ice baths being the president, but maybe for NFL and NFL and the football. People don't see the blood, sweat, and tears. There's an awesome illustration, actually. I don't know if I've sent this to you, but I'll send it to you on the WhatsApp. But it's a guy who's juggling. He's standing on top of the stage in front of a big audience, and it's that whole setup of the curtains around them. Anyway, he's juggling perfectly.
I've seen this. Yeah, and then you see like all the broken plates like on the steps below. Yeah, I've seen this.
I love that. I haven't seen it for quite a while, but it always sticks in my mind that no one sees the hard work and the time and the effort. Even recording this today, it's taken, for us to get together, it's taken months and months, and it's taken a lot of organisation, and we've had coronavirus dramas and all the rest of it.
Yeah, but you're making a good point, because it's all about the surface on social media. It's all about the surface, like the tip of the spear. You only see the tip, like, of the iceberg. You don't see like all the things that goes into it, and so you compare yourself with a standard that has been worked by that person, but you want that instantly. You want that instant gratification, and that's something that's wrong with this generation as well.
Well, there was something in the actual social dilemma which I thought was really quite pertinent, and what they said was imagine your brain is basically still archaic. It's never really evolved that much.
That's what I was telling you about the tribe thing.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the tribe thing's always going to apply because of the fact that your family's always going to come first. That blood thicker than water is always going to be a saying always has been a saying. So, and that's a very tribal thing. You look after your own. But what I'm saying is, what I'm saying is that with the comparison of the brain, it's a case that you can compare the brain to the supercomputer, and this supercomputer is continuously evolving, and over a very short period of time is going to evolve to the level of a normally functioning brain, and then it's going to supersede it and pass it. So we're basically in this like impossible battle where we think, we'll have a look at a few things for a couple of minutes while we're, I don't know, waiting at a shop or in the adverts of a TV program. And then next thing you know, 40 minutes has gone by, an hour's gone by, and it's because this supercomputer is continuously feeding the next bit of information, and it's got all this information tallied up. And I thought it was quite interesting the way that they illustrated it through what's it called, like not a drone, but like a drone, like an animation of yourself, and suddenly it has shoes and it has glasses and it has this shirt and it has all these different items, and what they're doing is they're building a picture of what you look like and what you like and what you don't like and what's going to infuriate you, and you're so heavily manipulated by this supercomputer that you don't have a chance. And so this information is going to be continuously fed back.
Well, yeah, that's the thing, because it's like you said, like that supercomputer is like they kind of like painted a picture of like you and like your interest in everything that you are about, basically, and they use that as like cookies. Like they use that to like feed you the information that they know is going to keep your attention, so they can use you as a product. Because that's the point he made. Like one of the guys, he made that on Social Dilemma. He said, if you're using an app but you're not paying anything, then chances are you are the product, because you are at the end of the day the product for, like, you're like an audience that's being given to advertisers who are paying for the services of Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, whatever you're using to be advertised, and that's how they make money off of it. Right? So at the end of the day, you're literally just like an experiment. Like you're like a guinea pig to find out like what's the tendency of the masses, what do they look at, what's the politically correct thing to say, what do people want to hear, what do they want to see, and they use that. What keeps you dumbed down, right? What keeps you like coming back? They play on like what works in your brain, which makes sense on a marketing point of view, but on the human point of view, what are the repercussions when we go like later down the line? Like what are the repercussions? That these implications are what scares me, Because even the guys in the Social Dilemma, they were saying like one guy, he was like he wrote an email. You remember that guy? He wrote an email saying like I think we should be more
social conscious.
Exactly, we should be more like conscious of like what we promote on these social media apps that we're developing. We should think about creating features that allow people to like remain in control and stuff like that. Everybody was agreeing with him for a week, and then bang, everybody stopped talking about it because they realized that's not what makes money.
Yeah, it's an expensive decision.
And now
that's the problem.
When you come to the,
it's expensive to have a conscience.
Exactly. And like I think you said to me one time, like something very smart. You said only like in drugs and on social media do we refer to the people as users.
Well, in fairness, I did say that, but I stole that.
Yeah, I know.
That wasn't mine.
I mean, you said it to me. I heard it from you. I know, but
yeah, it was literally only drugs and software call their customers users.
So
that's very true. That's very true. I mean, I'll take credit if I'm allowed it, but I doubt I'll be allowed it. So I didn't.
So yeah, but anyway, like the point I'm trying to make, is like at the end of the day, like social media to people, especially like right now, like younger people, especially, social media is like their resume. It's like their social resume, right? So they try to put themselves in their best light. You're never gonna put yourself at your lows. You're never gonna put yourself when you're depressed. You're never gonna put yourself when you're having hard times, right? You're just gonna put yourself on your best light. Like if you're applying for a job right now, on your resume, you're not gonna talk about all like the difficult times you've had. You're gonna talk about the good times and how like you're gonna try to sell yourself. Basically, it's the same thing on social media.
Yeah, exactly.
Whether you're a man, whether you're a woman,
of course,
you start like trying to portray this image. But the problem is when it starts becoming like you use social media as a way to like portray an image that you're not actually living. That's a problem. Like your image becomes more important than your actual life. Like some of these people, like some of these girls, some of these guys, they live in like really like trash studio apartments, but they're taking pictures in these booths, like in these jet booths, bro. And it's like, yeah, I'm balling, but you're not. Like everybody got entrepreneur in their bio, but like, bro, what have you really done?
No, well, I mean, I would look at it from the point of view of the correlation between like the mental health decline of like youngsters, and then I think it was like 2011 they said like the problem which is affecting the generation is that let me try this again, mental health and the correlation of the decline of mental health was almost exactly the same time that social media came into the forefront of things. And I think a really good example is sort of one that I've always thought of when it came to sort of explaining this was young people. I say young people. I'm not picking on young people. I'm just saying young people because of the fact that our generation has been was like the last of the generation to know what it was like to have, say, I don't know, 15, 20 years where we didn't have anything to do with social media. Like, I mean, I remember not having an iPad or not having an iPhone. I mean, God, if we were quarantined with the original Nokia 3210, we'd have spent 100 days playing Snake. So thank God we had some entertainment. But I remember when it was more important to be social and meet your friends down the park. And if you say you're going to meet your friends down the park or the football pitch or the rugby pitch or wherever it was, you had to meet them because you didn't really have a way of cancelling, and not showing up was going to cause more problems than good.
Yeah.
But the thing is that that's why I mentioned the younger generation, because they've been born into having this continuous manipulation, this continuous pressure, and the pressure falls on both sexes, male and female.
You know what problems that create? It creates a problem where people, especially young people, can live a life of escapism. Escapism is supposed to be entertainment for like a couple hours a day, but people live their lives with that escapism. Whether it's social media, whether it's video games, whether it's media, whatever, they live their life like that. So it's not really living, because that's all they know.
Yeah, well, you're living their life through the eyes of someone else, and that's the problem. I mean, like the what I've always fallen back on and said is that if you take a photo that has, say, 10 million likes from a person that has as many followers that's relevant, that person would have had that photo taken in the best location with the best light by the best photographer with the most expensive camera equipment, and then there would have been 1,000 shots of that photo taken, and once it was taken, it was the best it could possibly be in that moment.
Exactly.
Then they select one of those 1,000 shots, and then they edit it. So it means that the best photo on the best day with the best looking person who was prepared only to do that one thing still wasn't to a high enough standard.
Yeah.
So that's the difficulty that people don't, like a lot of the younger generations don't understand, is that, you know, when it comes to changing, taking a photo of someone and they look perfect, they're not perfect. They're imperfect because they had to change that person to reach the expectation.
Yeah.
And I think it's so damaging for society, and I think it's very sad because if a person goes into a plastic surgeon and gets something changed because they want their self-esteem boosted, I actually agree with that. I think, yeah, fair play. I think that's a sensible thing. Change something that is going to help you see something better through your eyes, whether it's superficial or it's something, you know, where an accident's happened and you wanted something changed. I agree with that, but what I don't agree with is when someone's doing like Facetune is one of the apps, and certain other apps.
Snapchat.
I'm not bashing the app. I'm bashing the fact that young people are using this. They're changing their face for whatever reason. Say changing their nose, or say changing their nose, and then they sent that picture out to the world. They're getting more likes because of the fact that they've changed that aspect, and that's what they associate with the positive response they're getting. And then they're looking in the mirror and seeing the problem, which isn't a problem, but in their eyes it means they're not holding themselves to the standard that the photograph that they've been treating it and then that they've edited, they can't reach that standard. So the reason I mentioned that is because, like, last time when we spoke about this briefly, we were talking about the difference between plastic surgery and this, and I think plastic surgery, or surgery in general, I think if someone's doing it and it makes themselves feel better, then that's the face that they'll see in the mirror, and I think that's a positive thing.
As opposed to like trying to look like your Snapchat filter.
My God, yeah, that was something else, wasn't it? The Snapchat filter. I don't know which one specifically, but that article was saying that that kids, or not kids, I keep saying kids, you know, like some people are going into plastic surgeons and asking to look like their Snapchat filter, and you just think, come on, what's the world coming to?
That's Snapchat dysmorphia, yeah.
I use it in a way that, well, I like the fact that I can get nice photos, collage them, and keep them in one place. Originally, that was what Facebook, I was using Facebook for, but then, you know, Facebook just turned into a kind of a political forum where Instagram is a lot less. It's more based on the pictures, the photos, the videos that you want to keep posted up. I don't really use it from a work point of view. I've got like followers on there, but I don't push it. So yeah, I would say I use it from more of a social point of view to see what my mates are up to, and maybe for a bit of motivation as well. There's always cool people to follow, but yeah, that's how I would use it. What about yourself?
Same thing, like, but me, like I said, like I talked to you about this before. It's like I try to use it more like on a business, like in a like type of like to promote what I do in a way, like my other things that I do, and I try to use it as like in the most disciplined manner as I can. Like what I mean by that is like if I start seeing that certain accounts are like not giving, like there's no added value to like following a certain account, I will most likely mute or unfollow that account. It depends if it's somebody that I know or not. If it's somebody that I know, I'll just mute it because like I'm not trying to like make that person feel some type of way because I unfollowed them. But it's like if you're posting like just some garbage, bro, I'm sorry, I'm gonna mute you. And like there's like I don't watch stories that much either because I know how the brain works, and I'm not trying to like feel envious of things that I don't need right now, right? So exactly. So mainly what it's gonna be for me is like I'm gonna be posting stories and posts about what I do and like promote certain things that can be beneficial to me on a financial or like business standpoint. And like when it comes to like my actual timeline and like what I actually see every time I log in, I mean, I try to limit it to like motivational stuff or people that I aspire to be like. Obviously, I follow like one or two like Instagram models. That's cool. That's cool. It's one or two, right? Like, I mean, it's
get them ass photos, get them titty photos.
I'm not trying to be like, I don't want like my whole social media to just be like me looking at people like out of reach and just like fantasizing, but not actually doing anything with my life. I want it to be like congruent to my lifestyle and to my goals. Because a lot of people, what they do is they have this social media where like they follow certain people and certain things, and it changes the way they think. Like, they don't think for themselves. They think based on what social media tells them. Like, all of their opinions are based on...
Yeah, it gives a warped...
Yeah, go ahead.
Sorry, I was going to say, yeah, just to chuck in, like, it gives a warped sense of perspective.
Exactly. So, like, you're basically, like, your opinion comes from, like, memes and, like, what you see on social media, what other people are saying, because you're being basically, like, peer pressured into thinking a certain way because of the people that you follow, and because the algorithm has caught on to what you like, and so they keep suggesting you more and more of that stuff. So it becomes confirmation bias.
Yeah.
Like, I was reading in the book by Mark Manson that we were talking about actually the other day. I was reading in that book that basically people, like, we live in a world where we're more connected than any other time in the world. Like, in like any other generation, like, we're more connected, bro. We have we have Skype, we have WhatsApp, we have social media, we have all these things. We can talk to anybody at any time. But when it comes to having opinions, when it comes to like taking sides, we are more disconnected than like any other period in time. Everybody thinks that their point of view is the right one, and they don't want to listen to the other party. And that is because of confirmation.
Yeah, the echo chamber.
It's because of confirmation bias.
Yeah.
Because the more you believe something, the more you see it. It's like on Google. The more you search for something, the more that result starts to appear. That's the problem.
Yeah, but echo chambers are the biggest problem. Well, for everything, pretty much for everything. If someone can't sit there and listen to someone who directly opposes their opinion and still retain the opinion or find positivity or something in that opposite person's point of view, then you're in an echo chamber and you're not listening. They're like both sides to most arguments. I mean, don't get me wrong. There's always an exception to the rule, but if you go into most situations where there's opposing sides, like take Democrats and Republicans right now, it is so divided, the opinion, and the only thing is divided is hate in the middle.
Yeah.
There doesn't seem to be any like love between the two. Doesn't seem to be any. Well, actually, you know what? Biden's got this point of view. It's quite interesting. Actually, Trump did this. And it's like everyone picks out the negativity in it, and it's more about the destruction of that argument rather than it is to be like, you know what? I learned something from that. Now, whether there's a huge amount you can learn from Trump, I don't know, but there's always something. And that's more my point with everything. And if you live in an echo chamber, which is exactly what social media is, exactly what Twitter, when someone's on a Twitter feed, they're not going to follow people that they don't like, they don't agree with. So you end up following 100, 500, 1,000 people who are literally singing the same song that you are, which just means that everyone else in the world is wrong. So yeah, I think it's very important. I actually make an effort to listen to podcasts where I think, talking nonsense. But as I say, there's always something that you can learn from it.
Exactly. You know what the problem I think is? The main problem? Like keywords. I said it before, instant gratification. It's instant gratification. They're playing, they're playing, like the people who make the social media, like the way it's optimized. It's playing on people's sense of instant gratification. People want to get what they want directly, whether it's an image, whether it's a feeling, whether it's like money, whatever. It's all about instant gratification. Everything is made easier for the people, which is a good thing because that's how you evolve going forward as a society. But at the same time, that's how you make people lazy, complacent, and entitled. And the problem with that is what? It implies a lot of things. It implies that values start having less and less meaning because we're valuing money over everything else. So
yeah, I mean the instant gratification thing, I think, and the money side of thing ties in really well with OnlyFans.
That's exactly
the reason I mention OnlyFans What are you getting to?
That's exactly what I was about to say.
You love this one,
yeah,
don't you?
bro. Bro, I love it because it's facts. It's facts. Listen,
I feel like I should just turn my stuff
like
off now. And just let you go.
money is going, bro. Money is going up in the pyramid, and like values is going down. And so social media is getting like very like heavily sexualized because people do not put any value on things anymore. Like everybody looks more naked on their pictures than ever before. And I'm not talking just about women, I'm talking about men as well. Everybody's trying to like showcase their features on their pictures. Oh, look at my abs, look how perfect I look. And it works, so they keep doing it because they get money. Women they get booked for whatever. They get like paid to like be Instagram models, TikTok videos, Musically, whatever it is, man. And it ties into OnlyFans at the end of the day, where you can straight up make money from people getting memberships for your page monthly to see you post pictures of you with less clothing on.
Yeah, I mean, I know there's a lot of people that don't use it just for that basis, but the main conversation piece for everyone is the fact that, you know, you're taking your kit off for more money and more followers. And now there's a lot of arguments for and against it. You know, if you're sitting there and you're in a really bad economic situation and you can't keep the lights on and all the rest of it, and then suddenly you get kind of this moment of, hey, I'll pay $12.99 a month if you send me this, and then suddenly there's 100 of them doing it, and suddenly there's 500 or 1,000 of them, then you start seeing real money coming in, and it's not the electricity bill that you're worried about. Now you can have pretty much most things that you desired beforehand. I think that's the difficulty. Is a lot of people are, mainly women who are kind of getting this opportunity. I don't know if too many fellas.
I mean, you know, but let's be real.
But the thing, like, it's people don't always think about the long-term consequences of that action.
Exactly.
Like, and also, the bigger you get, the more target you're going to become, the less stable the platform. Because let's say you're someone with 50,000 followers or 100,000 followers. You put up an OnlyFans account, you'll start earning some good money. And then, well, let's say it's relative, and you start getting as many people following you on OnlyFans as you do on your social. The thing is that these people will pay for it, but you're not big enough for them to leak the information. But if you're someone who's of a high level, then there's no stability to it, because if you've got 1 million, 3 million, 5 million followers, then people will just leak that information. It doesn't matter, though. They'll leak those photos. Well, it does matter, because then you have no reason. Look, you know, people aren't. There's not a lot of people paying for porn when they can get porn. No, that's true.
But what I'm saying is, like, you're talking about people with like a very extreme amount of followers. Like, they have like a very high amount of followers. If they have a very high amount of followers, if they just get that 1 month in, when nobody has access to any of the content, some people are gonna have to be like the first, like the early birds, to like go get the stuff, and that's gonna be enough. Look at Bella Thorne, bro.
Yeah, that's true.
She finessed the whole system in a month. She made like millions in a day.
Yeah, it was 1 million.
Yeah, something like that.
I think it was 1 million.
It's insane.
Then but there was a lot of controversy around that, wasn't there? She had said that what I believe that was reported was she was going to send nudes, and then
she didn't.
Basically, once she got to a certain level, and then all these people followed her, she got to that level and then never sent them, and then it was like backlash on OnlyFans, and OnlyFans were expected to pick up the bill. It was like a totally ludicrous situation. She bucked the system, man. She manipulated it. Like, no one can demand her to take her clothes off. No one can demand certain things. I mean, I don't even know what the legal of that would be, whether or not offering something and then turning around and you know, taking back what you said.
You didn't sign a contract, so
that's
to be honest, you can't say anything to her.
Well, it's verbal.
Yeah, well, I mean,
it is verbal, isn't
gentleman's agreement.
Yeah, well, it's not very gentlemanly if you're entering into that agreement, though,
exactly.
is it?
So at the end of the day, to me, bro, we come to a spot where it's like, listen, there's no more values. That's number one. Number two, It's
Cynic.
I'm not sinning, bro. No, it's values. Like, but no. Okay. Let me put it in a more acceptable and more realistic way. Values are like, yeah, values are decreasing in value, pun not intended, and money and financial gain is more important. So what happens is people start doing certain things that back in the day people would not have done because that's not how we do things. That is not appropriate, right? I'm not trying to judge anybody. I'm just saying, like, as a general rule, nowadays people are more willing to do certain things that would be frowned upon back in the day for money than they would have before. Because with social media becoming more sexualized, it's becoming more okay to make money off solely your body, right? But the problem with this is...
Yeah, but there's a real difficulty with that.
No, there is. But, but listen. The problem that I have is not this. It's setting a precedent where younger people who are easily influenced and follow these people who do these things start to strive to do these things instead of actually being productive members of society. I'm not saying that's not productive, because obviously you're making money, you're helping advertisers and stuff. But it ties back into that instant gratification that I was talking about, because everybody wants to be Kim Kardashian. And how did Kim Kardashian get famous? I'll spare you the details.
She was a very popular lady.
You know exactly.
Yeah, she's popular with the baseball teams.
You know. So now everybody, like, you got these OnlyFans girls who made like hundreds of thousands of dollars posting themselves with their first house. Oh, I bought my first house at 22, and now every girl sees that, it's like, oh, I'm gonna make an OnlyFans and I'm gonna make that money now. First of all, it's not that easy, and second of all, you're gonna degrade yourself to a point where you're never gonna be able to like catch up in the future, because you can't play catch up.
But does it matter?
Does it matter? It matters. Because I don't think they know what they're getting into. I don't think they know what they're getting into.
No, well, most people don't know what they're getting into. But I would say, because no one can really tell, you know, if their venture is really going to pay off, if they're spending money, they're going to lose money. But should someone sit in a bank job as a bank clerk and do that all day, find it monotonous, earning, I don't know what a bank clerk earns, 30 grand a year, something like that. So they're earning 30,000 a year, and they start an OnlyFans, and then suddenly they're earning 100 grand a year. If I was that bank clerk, I would be on my OnlyFans.
100%.
Like, I'm not saying it's morally correct. I'm saying that morality has a price, and it's really hard to judge someone, because it's not even so much a better life, because, you know, a good life is a happy life, and that's relative to the people around you. But it does really help when servicing the car and all the rest of it is easy to do. You know, if you need to pay your mortgage or your rent or however you do it, that's forgotten about. You know, if you're living your life wondering if you can cover your bills, then that causes a lot of stress, and it kills a lot of creativity. But if you're put in a situation where someone's like, hey, you know, you're going to earn, for example, 100 grand a year, everything's covered, you have margin on your salary, forget about the bills, they're all done. That's a hard argument to make to anyone.
Bruh.
To anybody.
The thing is,
you know,
I understand what you're saying, but the thing is, like, I'm not even, like, bashing the people who do it. And I'm not even, like, saying it's a bad thing. Like, on a financial, like, point of view, it's 100%, it makes sense. Why would I, like, want to, like, struggle for money when I can just, like, do this, which is easier and I know I'm good at and I can make money, like, quickly off of.
So is your point from a morality standpoint?
My point is, like, it's happiness. Like, you're happy, you got your house, you got your money, you're showing your ass on OnlyFans. Good for you. But happiness at what cost? And what does it imply for, like, other people who see this as an example and they try to follow it and they fail, and now they're branded as that person who tried OnlyFans and never succeeded? Because actions have consequence, man.
Yeah.
Actions have consequence.
I mean, if you've never succeeded, then it's very unlikely that any of that stuff's going to come out. Now, I'm not promoting it as something that I know, but think, like, I wouldn't want my daughter on it. I like put it that way. I wouldn't want my daughter on OnlyFans. Of course,
you know exactly. You know what I'm saying?
I'd be pretty angry if my wife was on it.
Exactly.
Yeah,
like,
for sure.
Everybody's going to look up to that and want to try it. And the thing is, like, the way our brain is set up, we have emotions, we have feelings, we have sensations. Like, our brain works like we learn from our mistakes. You make a mistake, you get cut, you get hurt, you don't want to do that again. But in this day and age, people look at things and they try to go for it without understanding the implications, because it's not actually a fire that you can burn yourself with when you put your hand on it. The consequences come later in life, because you got your ass all over OnlyFans, you didn't make money, and now you're like, okay, I'm gonna become a lawyer in the end. Now you become a lawyer, and all of a sudden somebody pulls out like 10,000 pictures of your ass in like different positions, bro.
That's a hell of a photo shoot.
You know what I'm saying?
But I would also say, on the other side of that, if you're going to go down the route and end up with OnlyFans account and show your ass off and all these wonderful things, what's the difference between you doing it on Instagram and Facebook and other social media platforms where you're putting up provocative photos, scandally clad? I mean, it's just one more bit of clothing. That's the thing. It's like you see the one of the rules on Instagram is you're not allowed to show the nipple. I mean, I don't know what the problem with the nipple is, but that's a section you're not allowed to show. And then on OnlyFans, hi, I've moved my hand. You can see the nipple.
You know
now.
What it is?
Perfect. That's worth 12 euros.
It's about novelty, man. Because most people who make it on OnlyFans,
but then
they're like, for example, the girls who make it on OnlyFans, usually they already have a following on Instagram.
But who's paying for porn?
But listen. It's mental. Like, I don't have an OnlyFans account. I don't follow any girls on OnlyFans. I don't have any of this, but I understand how it works because it's a business. You've been following a girl for 8 months on social media. She posts bomb pictures, looks good, doing her thing, bang. All of a sudden, she creates an OnlyFans. And you know that OnlyFans can take it to the next level where there's no holds barred. Everything is like, nothing is out of the table. You just have to pay for it. Bro, a lot of people will just put in 1 month worth of like membership just to see what it's about, and that's money. Because if you have a million subscribers, imagine a girl has 1 million followers, like an Instagram model, she has 1 million followers. Imagine only 1% of her audience looks at her OnlyFans. That's 10,000 people.
Yeah.
Imagine the membership is $20 per month. Yeah. That's $20, 10,000 people. That's 200,000. You know what I mean?
That's hard to argue with.
Exactly.
But like from another thought, I bet it's completely revolutionized the porn industry. Like it must have been a nightmare, like with the porn industry when suddenly like all these companies came out, like Pornhub and people like that, and they're giving away their content for free, and then they're making money through advertisement and user base. But then you take this, which is the OnlyFans, and suddenly they've got a consolidation on Instagram of all their followers, and then their followers go on to OnlyFans and then pay them direct. It cuts out the middleman or middlewoman, and you're just left in a situation where it's like, I have no contract with a porn company. I don't have to. I tell you what, I bet it's really changed things. I bet there's a lot of people that have stopped working in the industry, in the porn industry, the mainstream one, and then gone across into an OnlyFans and used it like that. Because if you can earn that sort of money, and then you cut out giving a percentage away to a corporation, I mean, surely that's going to be more beneficial.
Bro, I think my point. I think you understood my point, though.
You have made your point. I get it, but like the other argument then is, what about the music industry and the music videos?
Bro, it's so funny that you say that, because I was about to say it. Like, I swear you're like reading my mind, bro. It's like, bro,
it's almost like we had a discussion.
No, exactly. Listen, because it's the same thing as like big labels going to rappers who promote like taking drugs and like shooting people every day in the hood, and giving them a platform where they can talk more of that trash and make money.
And they're incentivized.
Because at the end of the day, they still work to do that kind of music, and at the end of the day, they're just talking about their reality. But what they're promoting is not very good, but it sells.
It's negative.
Yeah, it sells. So labels approach these people, create contracts with them, and they push their content out more. And young people look at that and they try to emulate that lifestyle. So it's like a regression. Imagine you're like a middle class person, and you start listening to Bobby Shmurda. Bro, talking about he's in the hood, he got the AK, the extendo clip shooting on your forehead and stuff. Bro, you're middle class and you think that's cool. And you're gonna start to like emulate that lifestyle, you're gonna think you're hard. Oh, I gotta act like this. I gotta get this gun. I gotta get this. I gotta start dealing drugs. I gotta start dealing this. You're putting yourself in a position where you're regressing. You're going on a lower level because you're trying to fit with a certain image. Whereas that person who wrote that song, he's talking about a reality which he's trying to escape. So there's a disconnect between.
Well,
there's a disconnect.
You're emulating something that's being glamorized.
Yeah, but it's not really being glamorized, because like rappers, bro, they talk about the reality most of the time. It's like Chief Keef and stuff. A lot of people think they're stupid and stuff, and I'm not saying Chief Keef is the most intelligent person in the world, but I'm just saying, like, he's talking about his reality. These people, they live in the hood, they live in violence. Gang culture is like deep, so they talk about what they know, because that's all they know, and they make it melodic. Sure. And people who are like in different walks of life, they look at this, they listen to these songs, and they want to act like that. Whereas this guy is saying that as a kind of cautionary tale, because he's trying to leave that place.
Well, I mean, to an extent, but I mean, yeah, like people tell the story that they know to tell. I agree with that. But on the other hand, it's wrapped and packaged in a certain way where it's going to be picked up by a label and it's going to be sold. And it's going to be sold en masse. And that's the point. I mean, it's glamorized, and it's very much glamorized, the way it's done.
Yeah.
Because these people aren't recording, like a lot of videos aren't recorded in the actual hood in like a really bad area with a real strong explanation. It's recorded with diamonds and watches and Lamborghinis and girls and swimming pools and mansions. So that's the glamorization and marketing side of it. I mean, is it good music? Yeah, a lot of it. I love it. But you can't just say that someone who's from the hood rapping about the hood, I can't believe I'm saying it, but like from the hood rapping about the hood is just using that as a cautionary tale. I think they're using it as an opportunity to tell their story.
I get you. That's a very good point. But still, like, I'm not trying to take it like on a personal point, like about the rapper himself. I'm trying to like paint a bigger picture in terms of like all of these things, because it ties back into OnlyFans and all of that. It ties back into the fact that social media cares more about making money off advertising stuff to people than they care about the actual individual. These labels, they don't care about these rappers. The rapper cares about the money. Yeah, they don't care about the rappers.
I mean, that's the world we live in.
That's what I'm saying.
I mean, well, it's the cost of reality. You're talking about the social cost, because I think the financial gain for that individual far outweighs the morality of society, especially if they're coming from the absolute opposite end of the economy. So if they're sitting there living in a tiny apartment, not making ends meet, the only way that they could do things is to put themselves at risk selling drugs or whatever it is, and then suddenly they're given a record label, they're making millions a year, and they're driving Lamborghinis instead of waiting for the bus. I mean, that's a personal financial incentive. So the implications on society didn't look after them in the first place. So why should they worry about society?
Bro. Enough about rap. Let's talk about WAP. No, but bro, listen. WAP is the perfect example of trading values for clicks and money, bro. That's the perfect example of my whole argument. WAP is the top argument of my whole, like, everything I've been talking about since now, bro. It's the culmination, man. This is the final act. Bro, WAP, man. You take two girls, put them in a mansion, you call them hoes repeatedly on the track, and you promote being a bad wife to get that money. That's what WAP is about. That's the lyrics. The song is good, it's catchy. Bro.
I liked it. I thought it was good.
Softcore porn.
Yeah, there you go, you see? But, I mean, first of all, the song's a banger. I think it's a good song. I think the video is cool. Dude, look, at the end of the day, I think it's good. I think everyone's always kicking off. First of all, people are always trying to push their own personal agenda. I don't think and they're welcome to come on, Megan Thee Stallion and Cardi B, and correct me. I don't think they were pushing a feminist agenda by any. I think they were just. They put together a tune. They got together with their producers, and the production team banged out an absolute monster track. And then they made as because they're both shock artists. Cardi B and Megan Thee Stallion individually are shock artists. So I don't see why people are so surprised that they came up with a shock song and shock video. I mean, I was surprised that I saw Kylie Jenner on there and some other people as well, Rosalia. I was surprised that because that's not so much their brand at all, really. Rosalia maybe, but Kylie Jenner, that's not her brand at all. But I think that, they came together, they put together a good song. Now, I think that the problem is a couple of things. First thing is whether or not it's age appropriate. That's where we're getting to now. Is like, you mentioned softcore porns. Well, okay, if it's put on YouTube, for example, and YouTube has 13 plus, I mean, I don't think I would put that as a 13 plus video. I don't think it would be intelligent to show girls and boys under the age of 18 or 16 or 18 that sort of video with those sort of lyrics. For sure. I think that's the first thing, is what's the legal age of seeing it? Because otherwise you can simply say, take all the video ratings off of videos and movies. Take all the ratings off of those. Music should be rated the same. It always used to be parental advisory. I remember on like the Dre albums, Dr. Dre and Eminem and D12 and all of that lot. They always used to have the parental advisory. I mean, they have to up their game now. They have to up their game and say, you know what, on these platforms, we cannot show this. It has to be censored more because our age range is too young. And then companies, again, have to put in more ways of moderating who the content user is on the basis of identification. So I think that would be the next thing with a platform. Any platform, a social media platform, will be prove you are over 18 to see all content, and that will be maybe a credit card information, but it will be more information. It's a perfect excuse. That's what I would think.
Okay.
Yeah. Age is the first problem for me.
Okay. Do you think right now, if you had a daughter and she was like...
Yeah, so age is relative to age,
like
immediately.
14. No.
Yeah.
No, she was 18. Sorry, she was 18. He said she came to, like, she's been working like all her life. She wanted to be like, she wanted to be a veterinarian, bro. You pushed her like all your life. You helped her study. She's been studying for that, and then all of a sudden she finds out for a fact, 100%, like it's 100% sure. Right now, if she creates her OnlyFans, she's gonna be making $6K.
$6K a month. What's that? 72 a year, isn't it?
Dad.
No.
Yeah. No, for now, it's gonna be it's a start though. She comes to you and she's like, Dad, I'm about to make an OnlyFans. I'm gonna make $6K a month, so I'm gonna be good. Like, it's never gonna go below that anyway. So I'd rather do that.
I would rather do that instead of being a vet. I'd say you're being an idiot.
Now and like you know.
No, in terms of that, I would say you're being an idiot. I'd say, why would you create an OnlyFans account, earn $6,000 a month, and then give up being a vet, for example? Because a vet's going to earn as much as that, and if you can build a business off of it, you'll earn more. So, but
OnlyFans, she's gonna be ramping it up. She's gonna start putting a little bit less clothing. It's gonna make more money, bro. It's gonna become 10K. 15K, 20K.
I would put it like this. It's your dream. That's your dream. Well, that escalated real quick. Like, OnlyFans has been around for, I don't know, a matter of months, and you're coming to me now, 18 years old, telling me you want to give up the dream of being a vet because it's always been your dream to be half naked on OnlyFans. Okay.
It's because now you just found out she got a viral TikTok with 150K followers.
You've given me an example. I'll give you an answer.
She's been taking videos in her
all right, stand by.
Like you didn't know.
Stand by. Okay.
Music and all.
This is how I would look at it. First of all, the content has to be relative, because it's not of demand that you want, like that you have to be completely naked doing sexual acts. Look, I would put it like this. I would hate it. I think it's very difficult to say to any teenager, what they can and can't do. Yeah, do you know what? I can't really sell it to myself. No, I'd be totally against it. I'd be like, there's no bloody way that you're doing it. Yeah, absolutely. But let's change it to a different example.
All right.
If a friend came to me and said I have a chance to do OnlyFans, and I had a chance to earn $6,000 a month, and I'm a vet, training to be a vet, I'll be qualified in a year. I would say to them, okay, run your OnlyFans account, earn your money for as long as that is stable, put that money towards your earnings. Don't put anything out that's going to be that would come back and bite you in the bum later on, and then go get qualified in being a vet, and then run that, and then run the two simultaneous if it works. That's the advice I would give to a friend. But for my daughter, nah, we're good.
Cool. Okay. So now, okay, cool. Now, your friend now comes back 2 years later. She's made bands off of OnlyFans, and she's now a veterinarian. She met a guy a year and a half ago, and they went on dates, and now they're dating. It's going super well. They've been on vacations. That's the love of her life. And she says, James, he says he doesn't want to marry me because I got an OnlyFans. He just found out.
And
what are you going to tell me?
What am I going to say? I would say, if you're responsible enough to be a vet, you can surely see the responsibility of the content that you're going to put out there. So, not my problem.
But do you think the guy is wrong for judging her based off of that?
I think it's hard to judge anyone in different times of life right now, I think. But, okay, would I personally want to go with a girl who had an OnlyFans account? No. It's not something I would want to go for. Would I be bothered about dating a girl who has...
Okay. No.
Would I be bothered about dating a girl who has an Instagram account and her ass and all of that's all over it? I don't think it would bother me that much. It depends what the content is.
Nah, it would bother me, bro. I don't care if it's Instagram or OnlyFans. It's about how much you value your own body. And the thing is, all these questions I was asking you, I didn't really care about the questions. I just wanted to lead up to something. Right? Okay, so what I'm trying to say is this. These girls, they will do these things. Some of them, obviously, not all women, not all girls, will do this, and then come and blame men for not accepting them as wifey material because they're on these platforms doing these things. Accountability is now gone because since you found an easy way to make your money and now you're banking off of that, you think you should have it all. But that's not how it works. Because now that you've made that choice, you need to accept the consequences of that choice.
No, I get what you're saying. But I think where we were talking about tribes earlier, then you're going to end up creating certain social circles that are going to reflect that. And the people that you end up being with, spending time with, are more than likely going to be more accepting of that. Like the first example.
Bro, let me finish. WAP, we're talking about WAP. Bro, this is a mastermind thing. I'm paying attention, bro. We're talking about WAP. WAP says the lyrics, I don't cook, I don't clean, but let me tell you, I got that ring. Bro, you got 13-year-old girls listening to this. They're posting their little TikToks, okay, shaking their non-existing butts to this track on video and posting it online, right? Okay, they're posting that. And they're listening to these lyrics. And bro, they're 13, 14, they listen to this song 100, 200, thousands of times. Even if they don't realize it, it's going inside of their brains. And the brain is processing this information. And by the time they're a grown woman, 18, 20, 25, bro, to them, it's normal to behave that way. And to them, I should strive to be the girl that doesn't cook, that doesn't clean, that doesn't know how to do anything around the house, but I'm still suitable to find a husband. That is a bad precedent because we both know, you and I, that 2 days we saw Cardi B sweeping the floor in front of Offset, bro. Yeah, but my point exactly. That's
yeah, I know, man,
that's
but I think there's also the. Is that not the point? You know, this is that not?
See, everybody wants to act gangster until it's time to sweep the floor.
Like for me,
she was acting gangster.
For me, man, I think it's more on the basis that you've got like. She's just putting out tunes. She's putting out shock value tunes, and if someone says to me about, you know, I don't cook, I don't clean, you know, I just want that ring. For me, it doesn't really mean anything, and that's what I mean about having a like an age restriction, because you'll take out the higher percentage of people who are influenced by that, and therefore, you know, you protect the majority. If people at the age of 20, 25, 30, etc., if these people are therefore influenced by this, then you know what, we did what we could. But no, that's why I think it's an age-related video. You know, I don't disagree with people putting out content. I'm a big believer in free speech and being able to say what you think, as long as you're not really causing someone harm. Someone might not like what you're saying or might not like what you're hearing, and they have the option to turn it off and shield their family from it if necessary. And that's if they don't like it. I mean, if it's properly offensive, then it should be dealt with. But then that's a sticky situation, because who decides what's relevant to free speech and what shouldn't be free speech? I think a content provider is not nearly as accountable as a platform. A platform has to be able to censor, demonetize, whatever it is to disincentivize a content producer for creating this content. So, you know, like the first thing I said was I enjoyed the video. I enjoyed the tune. I think it's a good tune, and it's bloody entertaining when you put it on at a party, because it shuts everyone up immediately, because there's 1,000 opinions come out. But yeah, I think it's totally relative to the age group that sees it. That's my stance on it more than anything. You don't agree?
Okay. I understand.
It's gonna be warfare. It's gonna be warfare.
No. Not even. No. Okay, now I'm about to make a tangent that might seem like intense. But okay. How is this different? Okay, no, I'm not gonna talk about this now. Let's keep going. No, I'm not gonna talk about this, bro.
Let's play this safe. Okay.
Let's play this safe.
Maybe it's better, man. Maybe it's better. Anyway.
Okay. You ever heard of MK
Ultra? I heard of it. Yeah, man. Of course I heard of it. What about it?
Yeah. Okay. No, you know, like the whole concept of like feeding people certain information to like brainwash them into like not taking more meaningful actions in their lives and just like staying in the status quo and not like creating too much.
Yeah, but that wasn't the basis
problem.
of MK Ultra. MK Ultra was a CIA program.
No, yeah, no, I know, but I'm just talking about like it's like I'm not gonna go deep into like the actual.
Dude, we could do conspiracies. I'm always up for a conspiracy.
Lobotomizing people and stuff. No, wait. Because I'm just trying to talk about like feeding information to people, like, you know, the media, bro. Media, like news and stuff, they have a certain way of like getting into people's heads, because they all talk about the same things in a certain way and they frame it in a certain way where people start being affected emotionally, like fear, for example, fear mongering. Like that information actually shapes the way you look at the world and like how secure you feel at any given moment. Like, so a lot of people, for example, with the coronavirus, a lot of people are a lot of people are a lot more sensitive, you know, with coronavirus and stuff, like because of the things that they've seen on TV than other people. And now, like follow. Now these people are the same type of people that can be affected by the simple lyrics of a song, because we're saying it's just a lyric, it's just this, it's just a melody, it's a nice song, but at the end of the day, it still resonates with people, even if you don't like actually like pay attention, even if you're not actually focused on what she's saying on this song. Your brain is aware, because like your brain is always running in the background. It's running in the background, and you're gonna catch habits that you're not gonna understand how you caught these habits.
Yeah, I mean, there's a. Do you remember that song Otis with Jay-Z and Kanye?
It's insidious, man. What's the name?
Yeah, Sierra, Otis. Basically,
No.
in the song, it's a sick tune as well. I think it's a couple of years old now, at least. In it, they say like something along the lines of the day date. I've got two, and I think it's the Hublot. I've now got the Hublot. So the point is that they're saying, oh yeah, everyone's got the Rolex day date. We now wear Hublot. I imagine a lyric like that has been paid for. And a lot of stuff like that, and I don't know that it has, I would have thought it would have been, because there has to be a benefit somewhere for them to advertise that. Everything, product placement, is a huge thing. I read that Warren Buffett always interviews drinking a can of Coca-Cola. And the reason is because he has an enormous stake in Coca-Cola. So he's always seen drinking it. He has shares, large shares in Coca-Cola. So he's always seen doing it. So that's nothing new. Product placement, and I mean, I suppose that MK Ultra is what you're talking about. Is if you repeat something enough, it becomes normality or becomes true. I mean, that was more the MK Ultra was more to do with like the
Right now, we're just like grazing the topic to like come back.
Well,
into,
I mean,
like,
look,
the importance.
you mentioned about fear mongering.
No, bro. Listen to this. You ever notice how we've all done it. You ever lied about something to someone, and then you repeated that lie so much you start to believe
that's also a form of confirmation bias. Yeah.
Bro, that is how stupid your brain can be, even though you know
but
the
that's
truth.
the whole thing about like being up against a supercomputer. But I mean, like you mentioned about fear mongering. I mean, the biggest thing with this whole coronavirus has been how scared people have been. You know, if you start looking at the facts and the figures and the actual death rate and the infection rate and all the rest of it, like there's no logic applied to this, but there's an enormous amount of fear mongering, and there has to be responsibility. You have to be a responsible person. If a scientist tells you there's a problem with something, then you and this is one way that you can help the situation, then you have to help. It's like if you're on a plane and the pilot tells you something, you take the pilot's point of view, because they're going to be the authority and they're the person that knows what's going on. It's the same if the doctor tells you something. If someone tells you something of authority or knowledge, or you trust their knowledge, then you're going to follow suit. Now, the problem comes from the media's standpoint. The media have been reprehensible. They should be held to account on the basis that they're sitting there basically scaring the wits out of people. Everyone's going to die. There was something in the UK which was they had a projection of 4,000 deaths a day by December. That was what the report was, and that was one of the reasons for having a second lockdown. And that lockdown's just happened recently. Now, when like the analysts were reviewing this and saying, like, looking at the statistics, they were saying this doesn't make sense. And now they're starting to retract this information and say, yeah, you know what, that was more of a projection than anything else. And you're thinking, hang on, you've decided to close down businesses, risk lives further in the sense of people committing suicide, domestic violence, people not being able to go to the doctors or whatever it is. You're risking this because you put out statistics and made decisions based on those statistics, but now you're saying that these aren't right. You see, this is my problem. And then there's a lot of logic problems as well that I have with it, which is things like you're allowed 6 people on a table watching the football in a pub, but you can't have 7. But you can have 36 as long as there's 6 groups of 6. That's ridiculous. Or in terms of all these restaurants and pubs have to close at 10 p.m. or 11 p.m. as if at 9:59 p.m. or 10:59 p.m. that there's no impact or effect. It's like, you take Spain, for example, where the average person goes out for dinner at 9 p.m. If you're closing restaurants at 10 p.m., then no one's going to go to this restaurant. Because what's the point? It's sacrificed so many small businesses. And there's so many... I think if You go to a doctor, and the doctor says, James, you're fit and healthy, right? Go to work. And then he says to the other person, you're not fit and healthy. You're an at-risk person. So now you have groups. You have not at risk and at risk. Not at risk, you go to work and you earn the money and you pay your tax. Your tax goes to the government. The government then can distribute that tax across the country and across the people. And that means that the tax that's been paid to the government can therefore pay for beds, pay for ventilators, pay for ambulances, pay for police, pay for doctors and nurses and all these people who have made such a sacrifice to put themselves on the front line for it. And then you can help them because you're not at risk. And this pisses me off more than anything, is the fact that so many good people have lost so much that it just didn't seem necessary. It really didn't. It didn't seem logical. And the logic just has died away completely with the actions that are continuing. So, and the constant U-turns, I'm going to go off on one now.
Yeah, bro.
Yeah,
I mean,
that's what I would say. Two groups, you're healthy, go to work. You're not healthy, stay at home. Don't worry, we're all in it together. We'll all look after each other. The non-risk people, we're gonna look after you at-risk people. Boom, done. Line drawn.
100%. Like me personally, I'm not a doctor, and I don't know how valid what I'm about to say is, but I think, to be honest, as human beings, we're supposed to go through sickness and just like produce antibodies and just fight through it and just create like some kind of immunity to it. At the end of the day, you know, it's an airborne illness, and the risk of death is not really high, and the smaller the risk of death, the more it's gonna spread. That's just a simple fact. Like if you Google it right now, you're gonna see the graphs. It just explains it like pretty well. So at the end of the day, I don't understand why we need to quarantine for a disease which has such a low risk, you know, of people dying from it, especially if you have like really like underlying diseases. If you're very old, I understand you can stay at home and all of that, but young people and things of that nature, like we should be able to like go out, do our things, we should be able to practice our jobs, and people should have a chance of being able to develop their businesses. Look how the airline industry has been affected, restaurants, gyms, all of that. It's insane. You can't access a gym, which is something that is to certain people like almost essential for their mental health. Like they do that every single day because it's good for their body, for their health, but also for their mental. And you're depriving all these people of that because of a quarantine that is based on the fact that everybody's going to respect the rules, but we all know how human beings are. And we also all know that there's always going to be one person who didn't follow the rules who has it. So the moment we stop the quarantine, we stop the lockdown, this person is going to infect another person, and it's going to spread exponentially, because that's the way it works with diseases that are not that lethal, such as COVID-19. And so what? We're going to have a second wave? We're going to quarantine again? How many times are we going to do that? It started in March. It's November, man. It's deep. It's deep, man.
You quarantine people and there's no vaccine, and then you quarantine them for a month, and then they say, oh, it's gone, our numbers dropped, and now everything's wonderful. Everyone go back out. Don't worry, we're going to go into green light. Don't worry, go out. There's no vaccine. So people have to get infected again. So the infection rate is going to increase. We've lost control of the situation. We now need to quarantine again because the R rating's gone up. And then this repetitive cycle. I mean, it's just said in the House of Commons in the UK. Like, what's the plan, boys? You know, like, what are we actually doing here? You know, you've got no vaccine, so you've got a choice between herd immunity or 100% quarantine. Because that's the other thing. It's like, you're not allowed to travel. You're not allowed to go to airlines. But you're allowed to go into a shopping centre. Like, for example, you stand outside the shopping centre. You all stand 2 meters apart. Wonderful. Being responsible. That's great.
Mm-hmm.
But then we get inside the shopping centre and we climb over each other like monkeys. And it's like,
exactly.
There's no logic. There's no logic for me, and that's the problem with a whole thing. It's pissed me off. This whole thing pissed me off. Let's talk about WAP. God damn it. Anyway, man. I don't know. What can I say? Apologies. I knew for a fact I'd go off on that
Bro,
one. That's
bro,
fine.
it was a good talk. It was a good talk. It's interesting. I think like, I mean, to be honest, like me, I just try to like not give too much of my opinions because at the end of the day, I'm not an expert. It's just the way that it's handled. I don't think it's necessarily the best way. And I think a lot of states, for example, just follow what they see other states doing, so they just copy it because they want to like look like they know what they're doing. So I don't know, man. It's just it seems very weird to me.
I mean, look, don't get me wrong. It's obviously an absolutely terrible situation. I'm not saying people should be irresponsible. I'm certainly not saying that we shouldn't follow guidelines and rules and regulations.
Exactly.
They are there for our safety. They're there for us to all get over it. The sooner we follow them, hopefully we can nip this thing in the bud and get something good out of it, a good positive, rather than the or good negatives, as it were.
Mm-hmm.
But it's just a frustrating situation to see so many people lose so much over something. For me, I honestly think, yeah, it just gets me. It gets me from the propaganda with the media, and I think everyone should be safe. They should look after each other. They should be responsible. I just think there's a better way that we can all move forward. It's a terrible disease, and it's had an enormous effect both on health, the loss of life, and I take nothing away. Please don't think that I'm taking anything away from anyone that's lost a loved one or anything like that. I think it's a horrendous virus. I just think that it could be dealt with so much better. The same when foot and mouth was around. The same when SARS was around. The same with the AIDS pandemic. All these different things. You know, we can deal with this in a way where we aren't creating an enormous problem to follow up from it. If we get a vaccine in December, wonderful. January and February, everyone gets vaccinated. March, we're good. Everything's back to normal. But then there aren't any jobs, and there's no people with any money to spend. There's no, they said something on, was it Boris Johnson said there's 2 billion for the UK economy to contribute towards 18 to 24-year-olds getting jobs. Don't worry so much about that, mate. Worry about all the people that have lost their businesses. Worry about all the mums and dads who've got 18 to 24-year-olds who are paying the mortgage.
Facts.
The amount of people that have had to move back to their parents or move, and then you get people who have certain jobs who that job supports, dependents.
Yeah.
And those dependents are, say, a couple of kids in college or or they might have sick parents. They could have a number of things. So the economy is the second bubble. I think that's going to be the next big thing, is we're going to nip this thing in the bud. We're all going to work as one big community, and we're going to sort it out. Find a vaccine.
I hope it goes that way, man, because right now it's really getting unbearable, man. It's unbearable.
At time. All right, mate. Good to speak to you. Speak to you later.